Hey, Matt.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you? How was your week?
Not bad, pretty busy, but good. So, all right.
Good to hear. Nice to hear. Okay, so our topic today, that's quite interesting. What if asking questions is an art? Yeah. What do you think when you listen that type of topics?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it makes me wonder more deeply. Two things is,
Uh-huh.
first of all, what are questions then, and second of all, what is art, right? So it makes me think. And I guess I think of more than just two, but those are the two of the first ones that come up. What if questions is an art? What if asking questions is an art? It makes me want to dive deeper into those two parts, right? The questions and the art. Yeah, because I think with both we think of them in just very general terms, right? We just, it's a question, meaning just like anything can be a question, or it's art, like, but what is it exactly? There's rarely a definition. Yeah.
Yeah, usually when you think about questions, the very typical thing
Mhm.
is what's the reason behind asking a question? Usually is to get some information.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the usual and the common thing, and that's why you have the WH questions. The intent of those questions is to get information.
Hmm. Hmm.
What, where, who, when.
Yeah.
I need more information. But when you go deeper
Mhm.
and you say, hey, what if question is a type of art? So basically, you totally change the game, and you say, what if the question is not just to get information, but
Mhm.
to try to understand something that maybe take me to another question that might be even bigger
Mhm.
or harder, or what if I try even to ask questions that in anticipation, I might know that there's no answer to that question.
Exactly.
And yes, when we said this topic, I did my due diligence as a good entrepreneur. So I was looking in different philosophical approach.
Mm.
Hey, what are the big questions of the humankind or the human being?
Mhm.
And there are different authors, of course. This is not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm an engineer, with a degree, with a master's degree in administration. But for example, questions like, according to this author, like, where did we come from?
Yep.
This type of question.
Mhm.
Is there life after death?
Mhm.
Another one. And what is the meaning of life?
Mhm.
Those are questions that for sure there's no answer. There's no right or perfect or true answer. So basically, it's when you think in the other term that, as you were saying before, art. What is art? And if we think that art, it's an expression of the humanity and the nature, with the intention to amaze ourselves. Uh, so, okay, what if we think in questions that actually amaze not just me when I got the answer, but as well the people giving me the answer. So basically, we give opportunity to be amazed and to amaze the other one.
Mhm.
So I think it's kind of cool when you take this approach. That
Sure.
is not just hey, my God, I have this question because I need information. No, I have this question because I want to open up the scenario for anything, you know, to be open to anything, to everything.
And that's, I think, a lot of it. I think when listening to you here, it makes me think a lot of times if we're asking questions only to find information, then it makes our thinking, but our actions very linear, right? Point
Yeah,
A to point B, which is fine. And it's useful sometimes, right? Like I'm hungry, I need food. I'm thirsty, I need water. I mean, but it's also very limiting. And in terms of what you're saying, as far as opening our minds and our perspectives for different solutions and insights, innovation, we have to train our brain and our thinking to go beyond the linear and more of a holistic or a 360 degree. And I think if and that's the beautiful thing about questions, they can do either. It's more about the person asking them and now we get to the art part, how you're asking the questions and what is the question you're asking. And if you can ask questions with the intention or even the design, right? Art is designed. What if we design questions? If you can learn to design your questions to open you for opportunities, what if you can get more out of your questions than the information you're looking for?
Yeah, and that thing in how actually we take this approach of creating art or making art or considering the questioning as an art. So basically, I found another author that this guy, yes, the good thing and the way to approach to asking nice questions. So basically, you have to pay attention to yourself. The better you know yourself, so basically, the better you're able to create questions. And the first thing is that usually we, as a human beings, and this is a nature thing, it's not wrong, it's not either good or bad, but one of the recommendations is don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid to ask questions. And one of the fundamental things behind the what if method is when you think about kids, all about the childhood. So basically, you're asking a lot of questions and you are not afraid because you don't know what is to be afraid of. So basically, but usually we, as we grow up and we get older, sometimes because, oh my God, I have to be a political correctness. Usually we get afraid of asking questions. And we try to, oh my God, move this way. And we don't ask the question as simple as it is. So basically, one of the first things is don't be afraid. The more you trust in yourself and the more confidence that you have in yourself, and of course, the reason behind you are doing this, or you are asking these questions, is the better. Because once you get to the point that you're not afraid of asking questions, of course, with respect and all the different things that we know that is as a natural the human behavior. I think it totally opens a new world. Just do not be afraid of asking questions. I think, and this is one of the. I remember being on the workshop of what if. First of all, it's just okay. Let's develop this confidence between each other, and the more confidence that we have between each other, and we create this trust environment, the better the questions. So
exactly.
So first one is don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, because you're exploring the unknown, right? And that's what questions are all about. And then the idea is when you understand questions are more than just getting information. And I'm glad you brought up like what if, and the work I do with curiosity and curiosity-based learning is the goal is we talk about, and it's funny, I was just on a call earlier, a meeting with a bunch of students. We were talking about this. So it's fresh in my mind. But the goal is to not just ask questions, but to treat curiosity, and curiosity is expressed through questions, right? So, how do we ask questions or treat curiosity as a natural resource, and even as a perpetual? And if curiosity is the resource, then what if the questions are the machine? Or so if we have a perpetual energy machine, is every engineer's dream, right? How do we make perpetual energy? Well, as foolish as it sounds, I've been trying to create perpetual energy through the use of questions as a vehicle for curiosity. And people might be like, what do you mean? And the idea is kind of like what we're discussing here. If you can ask the right question, it won't just get you information, it'll generate other questions. and other questions and other questions. And I hate to say there's only one way to do it. So I don't mean if you do it right, there's only one way. But if you do it right, not only will it create additional questions, it'll also drive motivation for actions and for other activities that you can keep doing. So the action isn't just asking the questions, but what are you doing with those questions? And then the idea is that this can have almost a momentum of its own, so that through asking these questions, you get better results.
Yes, and the fundamental thing is just let yourself be curious.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't first I will say, number one, don't be afraid. Number two, let yourself be curious. So promote your curiosity. And when you are curious about something, the questions will arise,
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's not because you want the answer. It's because you are being curious. And when you are curious about something, this is something that many authors actually do agree with you. When you are curious about something and you are not afraid of asking the right questions, the words that you use matters a lot. And that means, so try really hard to find the good words that promotes passion behind the answer. So when you are curious, you are not afraid, and you try to find the words that actually promote passion in the person that is answering this question. So basically, you are oh my God, you are creating a totally piece of art. And why you are creating a piece of art? Because you are striving for empathy. And when you strive for empathy, basically you understand that the motivation behind the question is not you. It's not about you. It's about the other. And when you start this conversation and the what if and the question and lose you actually are confident about what you are doing, and you strive for empathy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's art, because when you strive for empathy, and that's the reason that Da Vinci, Leonardo, Van Gogh, oh my God, I want that you feel something in this piece of art. So basically, I really want that you feel something behind your own piece of art that is answering my question. So that's something that is so powerful. That if we understand that as a human beings, that will be, I say, that will be very easy to have any kind of conversation when you understand that.
Well, you've given me so much to think about. I've got to write some down. I can't go quick enough.
Yeah,
I'm laughing too. I have a thought. I hope I can understand my writing so I can come back to it. One of the things I love having conversations with you specifically about, and I'm smiling listening to you talk, is you're an engineer and I'm a writer. And we're discussing this question, what if asking questions is an art? And we're kind of getting to that definition part of art. And listening to you, you're an engineer, you're describing it as a writer. You're describing it almost as an artist, right? Well, we got to choose this word because it could mean this and it fits this way. And I'm laughing because I was thinking of it almost as an engineer or as a designer, thinking of art as an artist, as an engineer. And when you're talking about constructing, this empathy and this understanding, I'm thinking of almost like constructing a building or a platform. So I laugh because to find an answer, we're both going the opposite direction of where we normally are, but they both work, right? So it's that intentionality, whether you want to approach it like an engineer, like a writer, or both. It's how do we construct this question in a way to deliver the results? And you're talking about empathy now as entrepreneurs. I think people understand that if you can have empathy, the way you're just, for your customers, you're going to have a greater amount of success. And the way listening to you describe the way an artist might create, a work of art, I'm thinking of the way entrepreneurs create an offering or a product or a service to capture that same feeling, right? To capture that same emotion to then drive their decision, not only to use the product or service, but then tell someone else about it. Yeah. Like when the first time you see a Picasso, yeah, you look at it and you want to share it. You're not going to be quiet. You're not going to say, I'm never going to tell someone about this, right?
Okay.
You go look at it, you take a picture, you put it on social media or anything else. And as entrepreneurs, we dream of customers or clients doing something similar, which then brings me to, I did write this one down. So is all questions are unanswered. Oh yeah, what if art or what if art? Yeah, let me see here. Oh yeah, that's it. So what if art, in many ways, we think of it as an expression, or this is what the artist thinks. But again, Picasso's dead. He has no idea who I am, right? Or how can he be empathetic? But the magic behind good art is, what if part of it is that answers might be too strong. It's a response to our unanswered questions, right? So that feeling of, I don't know why I'm feeling this, but I'm looking at art, whether it's any form of art, it could even be music, right? And in some way, what if that feeling or that emotion we get comes because in some ways it's tapping into that unknown, or it's giving us, and again, it's not necessarily an answer, not like this is the way, right? Or this is it, but at least it gives us insight into an unknown or something that we wondered about, right? And then going full circle back to those questions you had at the beginning, what's life after death? What's the meaning of life? These questions, when you look at most art, there's some sort of expression or response to those questions, or people say they like them because they see insights into those bigger philosophical questions. So it's just funny how unintentionally we bring this whole thing back, where in some ways maybe art is questions, or art is a response to questions as well.
Yeah, totally. I couldn't be more agree with you in that. But let's move to another interesting thing that I found out when I was preparing for this conversation. And one recommendation, and this is for another author, and he is a former FBI agent, and he's an expert actually in interviewing different type of persons.
Okay.
Politicians, business people, criminals, other type of people. And he said, like, before you ask questions, not try. You have to be informed.
Okay.
And you have to pay attention to the other people. So basically, you are not asking questions to people that they already answered. And if you are not paying attention, you are not being empathetic person. So you are not striving for empathy. You are just looking for your own ego and desires. So basically, the best way to show people respect and empathy is be sure that you are informed. If you are going to talk with a doctor and you want to ask questions about one specific topic, just be informed. You don't have to be a doctor. Don't try. I don't want to be misunderstood in this thing. But you don't have to be a doctor. But just try to get information about the question that you are ready to ask. And the more information that you have about the topic, it drives you. It gives you to another thing that is so powerful. Is just try to be simple. Because the more simplicity in the good words and the uses of good words, so basically it totally gives to the other person an unlimited, let's say, an unlimited framework. So basically, you don't put a framework. Basically, you give an unlimited space because it's so simple that the other person will understand. Oh my God, I totally get it. I don't need you ask me the question twice, but you give me enough room to develop my knowledge, to develop my beliefs. And so basically, I will give you a gift with my answer. So basically, this is another thing that I found, and this is for an Indian philosopher. This is from India. Is when somebody, and I quote the author, when somebody answers a question, you are getting a gift.
Oh, I like that.
You're not just getting an answer; you are getting a gift
I like
because the answer is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm an intentional person, I'm giving you a gift because I'm giving you a piece of myself. So basically, it's so nice and it's so deep that getting in this thing. So basically, is the way we create curiosity in the world with I would say with a simple framework and understanding that actually, and I will quote Socrates in this, and he what this is a quote from Socrates, and it goes this way: an unexamined what is an unexamined life is not worth living.
Exactly.
Socrates. And the other very powerful thing that maybe everybody will know, the guy is one thing only I know, and that is that I know nothing. Socrates, this is hard. It's just hard. It's just this effort to find the words, and that when you find the words, so basically you are creating an environment for not just for curiosity but for innovation.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's just getting to the right questions. But of course, you have to understand that to get to those questions, you have to put a lot of effort.
Oh yeah, and I would argue that you're not just creating an environment; you're creating an artwork. Right? You're like art of asking those questions. And I think a lot of times too, if you think of questions or the act of asking a question as an art, it automatically forces you to consider the question before you ask it, right? Or at least put some, now my engineer hat's back on, but at least put some effort into designing it or intentionality, as we've talked about before. And I think sometimes just that simple flip of a switch. Hey, it's not just a question; it's an art, right? How can I word this in a way? It may take a millisecond longer. It may take a minute longer. Mm-hmm. That little difference in time. What if the results are? It takes a millisecond longer, but you get 10 times the results or outcome. So I think the effort is usually rewarded. It also makes it more interesting, right? Instead of just asking, why is that? Yeah. So you know as well as anybody how big of a fan I am of questions.
Yeah, Matt. So basically, okay, it's 20 minutes now. So basically, now we have to close this conversation. I totally enjoy and delight myself every time that we talk. Just two examples, and this is really two great examples that I found. One question that is so powerful, and many people get to know. One question: to be or not to be? Who was the guy? Shakespeare. Shakespeare. And the other great example. Oh my God, I got it in Spanish, so basically I will do my best to to the translation. Is okay when you ask the right questions, the answer is elemental. Yes or not, my dear Watson. Yeah, Sherlock. It's so powerful that one single line actually creates a legend.
Yeah. And you're so true. I love the last question. I mean, the last statement I've heard before, of course, but I don't know why it didn't hit me. That I don't know. I've tried to express it. I've seen it, right? and that's why I guess I mean, and I guess I've heard other people say ask better questions, and I was a little uncomfortable with that because I don't like to look at it necessarily as that means that's a bad question and that ask better. So I thought instead of going for a good question or a bad question, if you just put that intentionality of art behind it is what we want. But I'm less concerned about that. I'm more concerned about the outcome, and what you'd expressed right there is the outcome. We want easy answers. What if the question should be the difficult part, or where the work is, and then the answers are the easy part?
And I put this banner right now because it was something that you just said. That is moving from the intention to get information to intentionality to give you space to create art,
exactly.
to express yourself, not just to favor my ego. So basically, is moving from an intention person. Hey, I have nice intentions. Everybody has nice intentions.
Sure.
I won't argue that.
Yeah.
But if I move myself to be an intentional person, not just a person of intentions, it changed the way I ask and I communicate with others, and it totally, my God, creates a better world, and you are creating art. And my friend, the world now more than ever needs art.
Yes. In every facet, in every way we can get.
In every aspect, Oh, Matt, it's so nice to see you every week.
Yeah, these are great. And if we need, we can pick up regardless of what the topic is next week. I think this might be a question that we fall back on a few other times. Because we can keep talking about this as a question. I think there's a lot to discuss. Just what is art? Even just what is a question? So yeah, again, this is fantastic, and I think it's just the start, and hopefully inspire people, motivate people, encourage them to go out and ask different questions, right? To spend time thinking of what kind of questions you ask, how you ask them, and approach it like an artist. Even if that means practicing asking your questions with no specific intent, right? You don't have to necessarily, we mentioned before, like exercising. Just because you go, you don't have to run a race or play a game every time you're exercise. To get exercise. Sometimes you do it just to prepare you for the game. And asking questions could be the same way. That there's a lot of preparation or practice that goes into asking questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank
you.
Thank you so much, Matt. So see you next week, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a great week.
Bye.